our connection and association with people, places, or things is extremely powerful. And if that power is linked to the wrong thing, the wrong person, it can cause us unnecessary suffering. Have you ever thought about, like, why am I going through all of this? Like, none of this makes sense. But you're in alignment. You straight up and down, right? And you're like, okay, well, I'm doing this, doing what the Lord told me, and you trying to figure it out. But have you ever thought about who or what you are in connection with, who or what you are in alignment with, or who or what you are in association with? Have you thought about that? Have you ever even seen, because what you see is something that you catch because you catch it because it's a pattern. So now when you see that it's a pattern, that certain people that may help you or pour into you or aligned with you, they are suffering, and you kind of like, why are they going through X, Y, and Z? Like, what's that all about? But then once you started recognizing the pattern, you see that whenever somebody helps you or helped you or done something for you or poured into you or aligned themselves with you, they also have endured some suffering. And so you kind of like, Lord, what's this about? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go over all of that today, okay? Because we're going to get up, we're going to, all this unnecessary suffering that we're doing, getting, we don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. And so today we're going to end that. We're going to end that right here, right now, because now I am going to share with you some things that the Lord showed me. And this is probably most likely going to be broken up into either a 2 or 3 part series, because it really goes deep into connections. And so these are the scriptures. Hey, y'all know, and they notebook. So, and y'all know when y'all come here, I need y'all to have your pen and paper, laptop, notebook, whatever ready, because you're going to write down some scriptures and you're going to go over these scriptures in your own personal time, and you're going to reread what we talk about today and what we read about today, so that you can become familiar with the word, so that you can be in correct alignment and association and connection with the word, and therefore certain things you won't have to suffer because you know it for yourself. Uh-huh. So the scriptures that we're going to go over today, and also um, the definitions that we'll go over, do come from Merriam-Webster's dictionary online. Okay. All right. So it's 3rd John 10 through 11, 1 Corinthians 15:33, Ephesians 5 and 11, 1 John 2:16 through 17, Joshua 7:11 through 12, Esther 3 and 6, 1 John 3 and 13 and 24, John 1 and 8, and 13 through 14. And this is 1 John. I'm sorry, 1 John. No, I apologize. This is Jonah. This is Jonah. That wasn't John. This is Jonah. Jonah 1 and 8 and 13 through 14. Jonah, not John, Jonah. Not 1 John, Jonah. Luke 22:32 through 34. We're going to talk about the road to the crucifixion, and that's the one that we're going to cover today. Luke chapter 22, 32 through 34 is the focal point, but 54 through 62 is the scriptures that are going to go over today. Now, again, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to give you a small synopsis of what these scriptures are talking about, and then you can read those in your time. One thing I wanted to break down is connection. Definition: the act of connecting, which is the state of being connected, which means link, to become joined, to place or establish in relationship, and also attachment between two people or more, even ideas or things. Let that sink in. Association: a formal or informal organization of people banded together for a common purpose, or a mental connection between ideas, feelings, or memories. Okay, so one of the things that we're going to talk about is there are a few ways that we are suffering unnecessarily, to include those who are connected to us. And that's kind of like what we're going to cover today. What does unnecessarily mean? It means doing something in a way that is not needed, or taking an action to an extent that goes beyond, say it with me, that goes beyond what is justified or reasonable. I'd like to add, experiencing actions or repercussions that the Lord did not design for you to face or go through. It was never his plan. So when we make decisions about who we are going to connect with or to be in association with, we either fall into the hands of the devil or we fall into the hands of God. Again, our choices. We either fall into the hands of the devil, fall into the hands of God. And it's clear to see, because if you're doing evil, sinful things, that lets you know who you belong to and whose hands you in. But when you do things upright, not void of mistakes, okay? But when you do things upright, you fall and you're righteous and you're justified. Then you fall into the hands of the Lord, okay? All right. And then we eat the fruit thereof. We eat the fruit of our decisions. That means we eat the fruit of the suffering or the benefit that comes along with being in connection with this person, place, or thing. Now, there's a framework that is built around the law of attraction, but I suffice it to say, the power of connection and association. Okay, and let me explain what I mean. My husband, he has a master's degree in the Master of Arts Psychology, right? So, well, because of his grades and the professors that mentored and still mentors today, excuse me, he has become privy to different associations that he's become a part of, meeting people of influence, and different things like that. Like he has that connection and he has become a member of those different associations, right? And so like he has got his degrees, he's got his certifications, and he's actually has accepted. And remember, when I look down, y'all see my notebook. I'm in my handy dandy notebook. So he has been able to take advantage of some opportunities that have been presented to him. And doors have opened to him that otherwise would have been closed, had he not, closed due to his connections. You know what I'm saying? But get this, inadvertently, I have become privy to some people and some information based on some needs in the areas of my life through my husband, because why? He was connected. He is in association with, he is in alignment with these different people and organizations. So I have benefited, um, you know, in certain areas of my life because of that, because of my husband and his association. So the fact that I have benefited from it, you know, is awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's awesome, and there are benefits, not suffering. However, while he was getting those degrees, there was a little bit of suffering going on because we couldn't spend that much time together. There was things he had to choose outside of choosing to go out on dates or do. He had a goal in mind, so it cost certain things, and that's okay, because why? Now he's in a better place, and we can, what we couldn't do before, now we can do. Okay, not complaining, but it was a little suffering at the time, but now not complaining, right? So, excuse me. Why did I bring this up? I mention this as an illustration that you can either benefit or suffer from your connections, alignments, and associations. To the people, you know what I'm saying? And to the people who are within that sphere. So it's a great segue into what we're going to talk about, and we're going to quote unquote, give it a subtitle, The Road to the Crucifixion. And the focal point is Luke 22:31 through 34. And so basically, the scriptures that are going to cover this is Luke 22:54 through 62. And this is when they were sitting down. They were sitting down and they were talking, and the Lord had told Peter, he said, Satan has desired to sift you as wheat, but I'm praying for you that you will not fall into his hands. And so Peter was like, hey, you know what? I'm with you. I'm 10 toes down with you. I'm that ride or die. I'm with you, Lord. I'm with you. But Jesus was like, I ain't so sure about that. You know what I'm saying? I ain't sure about that, because what I know is that before the cock crow 3 times, you're going to deny me 3 times. And Peter was like, man, whatever. You know, hey, bro, we ain't rocking like that, whatever. But Jesus was like, nah, bro, nothing. You ain't gonna know me. You ain't gonna know my name. You gonna be like, I don't know him. That's pretty much the synopsis, right? And so when the time came and they had arrested Jesus, when Peter was standing afar off, and he was at the fire, he made sure to stay close enough but far away, because he knew what would become of those who followed Jesus. So now is a time where people are just going silent, when it's like you don't even see the other disciples, like they ain't nowhere around. Get that? They ain't nowhere around. Okay. Them jokers fled. They don't know Jesus. Arrested who? I don't know him. I don't know this man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know him. But Peter was the only one who did stand afar off, but he said the same thing. I don't know him. And he was asked 3 times by 3 different people. And people was like, no, I know you. You from this place, and I seen you with him. Like, no, you definitely him. And I mean, like, Peter even got indignant and was like, nah, I don't know him. I can't say what Peter said because it's not this channel. But just know he said something he had no business saying, to make sure he let people know, I ain't rocking with that man. I don't know him. I ain't rocking with him. I'm just here to see what's going on. I'm just see what's popping off. What's gonna happen to the dude? You know what I'm saying? So, um, Here it is. Somebody who followed Jesus, saw him perform miracles, deliver people from demons, and heal the sick. Now, mind you, this the same man that he welcomed into his home to heal his mother-in-law who was sick with a fever. Uh-huh. The same one, right? So he was 10 toes down for Jesus up until the point it was going to cost him some suffering, because if you follow Jesus and they knew it, oh, you was there's possible it was possible you was going with him too, because they was going to handle that. So once it was time to ride for Jesus, he wasn't ready to die for Jesus at the time. He ultimately and vehemently denied Jesus. He wasn't willing to suffer at the hands of the angry people that was surrounding the situation. He looked at what his association with Jesus would cost him. Now he's evaluating what is going on with this man Jesus, who I even voiced because the Lord revealed to me, God revealed to me that he is the Son of God. Yes, it's the same Peter that the Lord revealed to him, the Son of God, the same Peter who who was who was at the transfiguration. Was he at the transfiguration? I had to look back on that, but I'm pretty sure he was at he saw Jesus in the rarest forms. He was those things were revealed to him. You see what I'm saying? So like when it comes to our associations, you can't just benefit from them. No, there's some suffering that's gonna come along with that too. Because anybody who has a purpose or a mission, a God given one, there will be some suffering. There will be. So, what Peter didn't realize was that he followed a man that had purpose and a mission. And there was nothing anyone could do to deter that focus, because Jesus had a job to do. He knew what he was coming to do. And there was nothing that nobody could say or do to get him off that road. Even though in the Garden of Gethsemane, he was like, Lord, let this cup pass from me. And I don't blame him, because, um, baby, y'all be short if it was up to me. I'm sorry. So, but he strengthened himself. He had a weak moment, but he strengthened himself and said, you know what? But let your will, not my will, be done. That's somebody who is willing to ride and die. Like y'all talk about ride or dies. Jesus did that. He is the ride or die, because he rode for us when he came here wrapped in flesh and gave us an example of how we're supposed to live and the power that we have, and died for us. He died. He literally died. That's the only ride or die I know. Somebody who really, because everybody ain't gonna put their life on the line for you. Everybody ain't finna ride. They may ride for you, but they ain't gonna die for you. Why? Because they start counting the cost of what it is to ride and die for you. They start to look at it. They start to look at the cost of it all. And so when people start looking at the cost, that's when they go, whoo, hey. They start backing up. They start backing up because what? They like, no, I got my spouse at home. I got my kids. I got my job, like my wealth. I got some goals. The Lord done told me to do X, Y, and Z. People start counting the cost, baby. I wish I had some Monopoly money, because I'd be like this. People start counting the cost. What is it going to cost? Out of $500, what is it going to cost you? It's going to cost you 100. It's going to cost you this. It's going to cost you that. It's going to cost you a lot of stuff. So what we fail to realize is that when we connect ourselves or align ourselves with a ministry, organization, a pastor, apostle, bishop, or overseer, we inadvertently become targets of their suffering as well. Okay? Alignment is powerful but dangerous. Aligning yourself with a ministry, an organization, political party, or people or ideas or things, people can get people can get you what you want, but also bring suffering to your door that you don't need. I'm going to read that again from my handy dandy notebook. And it says, aligning yourself with a ministry or organization, political party, or people and ideas can get you what you want, but also bring suffering to your door that you don't need. So ask yourself, are you aligned with the right people for the right purpose at the right time and places or things? Did the Lord call you to this ministry or organization or political party? Are you equipped to handle their suffering that they are called to? And lastly, do you want to suffer or deal with it or die on that hill? This is not to make you run from an entity, but rather to help you evaluate where you are and if you are in the right place. Now, like I said, anyone on a true God-given mission and has that purpose, they suffer, i.e. Martin Luther King Jr. Okay, he had a purpose and he had a mission and he was willing to die for it time and time again. He went to jail behind it. He had threats and all. There was a lot of backdoor things happening, and he eventually died for it. He suffered, but even the people that were connected to him got arrested because they stood in alignment with him. They stood in alignment with his mission. They stood in alignment with his purpose. Why? They were willing to die on that hill. People died. People were mauled by dogs. Their houses were bombed. They got arrested. All of that. Excuse me, all of that. They suffered. They took part in that suffering. Why? Because of who they were. If they weren't connected to Martin Luther King Jr., nothing would have happened to them. Nothing would have happened to them. Why? Because they weren't connected. They weren't connected. They weren't aligned. They weren't in alignment with him. Right? Another one, Malcolm X. The same things he went through, other people that were connected to him went through it too. Let's talk about Angela Davis. What her purpose was, what her mission was. And those people have been on the run. People have had to go to other countries because of what they were doing. You know what I'm saying? What they were doing to the people back, the African American people back in those times. Like anybody that was in alignment, anybody who stood their ground, they were arrested, murdered, slaughtered. Their families were slaughtered. Like just look at the alignment, look at the connection, look at the association. If they were not in connection, association, or alignment with those people, nothing would have happened to them. Nothing. Okay, let's look at Peter, Paul, Stephen, Moses. The list goes on and on and on. Like Moses, when he went, right, the children of Israel, he was connected to the children of Israel. The children of Israel was connected to him. And when he went to Pharaoh to get his people freed, what happened to them? Suffering. More things. More hard work was put on them. They had now what they needed to build straw, they didn't have anymore. What they needed to do certain things, they didn't have anymore, which caused more work, more suffering, right? All right, so like just look at all of that. Look at all of that. So there is some suffering involved. There is some suffering involved when it comes to what we're aligned with, who we are in connection and association with. There is that suffering because you benefit from it. And those who align with them because they wanted a better life. They wanted something. They understood it meant something to them to be in alignment with this group of peoples and with their ideals. They were in a they like 10 toes down with it, and they like, hey, if we die, we die. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is Jesus. Jesus did it. He said if I die, I die. Like, I'm coming to do this. I know I'm dying. At the end of this road, I know I'm dying because I know what my death is going to bring. And anybody who's in alignment with me, anybody who's in connection with me, boom, bada boom, hey, they reign with me. So when you start looking at this whole thing, when you start counting the cost, this is not for you to run from your ministry or anything like that, but some of the suffering, like the suffering that you are attached to when it comes to a ministry has certain things that they're attached to. Why? Has certain sufferings that's attached to them. Why? Because of the pastor and the first lady or the co-pastor. Because of that, because of what they face, what they go through. Different ministries face different things. It's not all the same. But they're what that ministry may suffer with. They may endure suffering, persecution, that type of suffering. They may have that because of what they do in their ministry. And the people who are in their ministry are aligned with the thoughts and ideals of that ministry. So, and it may not be favorable. It may not be politically correct. It may not be the societal, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know why I keep thinking like amendments, but amendments is not the word. But I know some of I know y'all picking it up out there. But basically, agenda. There we go. Thank you. See, I heard y'all. Their political agendas, and it may not be their what they teach at their ministry may not be what the political agenda is trying to push. So it's gonna get kickback. We see this overseas all the time. All right. So, but you'll know if you are suffering because of what you're a part of. And you may be able to handle it because God has given you a capacity for it and a capacity to handle it, because He also knows that He has put authority in you and the power in you to be able to handle that type of suffering. And because you'll know what to pray, how to move, how to minister. You'll know how to do all that because why? God has equipped you to be able to handle that. But if you're not able to handle, if it's too much or if it's stupid, you're suffering because of stupidity and what that ministry is allowing. And there's a difference, because there's a difference between a ministry standing on something and there's a ministry that's falling for anything. And, allowing all of this stuff to go on in their ministries. And then you suffering for that. That's stupidity. God ain't called you to suffer because of stupidity and because of people's, their own personal agendas. Yeah. So let that sink in. Why are you suffering at this ministry? Why are you suffering with your organization? Why are you suffering with this political party? And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. None of us should be aligned with a political party. We should be aligned with the Lord and let the Lord lead us into how to vote. Look at everything on the table, but that's a whole different subject, whole different story. So now It costs us something to live for Jesus. It's going to cost us. That's hands down. Even today, to call on his name brings death in some countries and persecution in others. This type of suffering through connection, association, and alignment always brings out the glory of God in the end. If you are going to endure suffering, it should be because of this kind. Like I was just explaining, not because of stupidity and people's own personal agendas and because of that ministry and how they letting all this stuff fly and go and fly up under the radar. No, not that suffering. It should be because this ministry is 10 toes down on standing on the word. Period. The Bible already tells us in a few scriptures that we shall suffer with Christ, but also reign with him. That is in 2 Timothy 2 and 12. Also for us to endure hardness as a good soldier. That's 2 Timothy chapter 2, verses 3 through 5. And that in this life we shall suffer persecution. That's 2 Timothy 3 and 12. God didn't hide the suffering we endure. No, he told us so we wouldn't be surprised and that we'd be equipped for the journey, so we'd be prepared and stay at the ready. Count the costs. Evaluate your suffering. Is it because of your connection, association, or alignment?